Miami versus Duke this weekend. I know that I've already gotten some Miami fans a little riled up in the chat, so I'll start it off here. Joe, I think Miami's a really good football team. Their offense is insane. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball at an effective rate. Their receiver core, like we talked about in the preseason, one of the most underrated units in the country. They are very physical at the line of scrimmage, on both lines of scrimmage. Their defense has played up to this point very good in a lot of situations. However, they have allowed too many big plays. Bottom line, too many big plays are being allowed here. You're right. I don't think that Duke is the team that can come in here and clip them. I just don't see it. However, Joe, it's been a month. You have let four teams stick around with you that, from a talent v talent standpoint, that have zero business being around you. Right? There's no reason that these last four games that any team should have been around you, regardless of who they are, what you think about those opponents. When you turn on the film and you turn on the tape, you are playing up and down to the level of your opponent. The reason it's doing that is because, Joe, they are getting lost in man-to-man coverage. That is the truth. I don't know why it is. I don't know how it is. I don't know what's going on. But one thing that I know for sure is you're 127th in the country in explosive play rate defensively, allowing explosive plays on you. I mean, Joe, that is a nightmare of a scenario. At some point, that's going to get you clipped. I have no idea when it is. None. It's not this week, but that will get you clipped if you're not careful. But Cam Ward continues to find a way, man. This team continues to find a way. It's not like they haven't been tested. They have been tested. This offense, Joe, is spectacular. So statistics and stats are great, but when you look at the games and the explosive play rate, Joe, that is what's keeping these other teams in the ballgame.
First of all, I'm not worried about – I'm still not really that worried about the explosive play rate thing. I think that there have been teams in the history of college football.
Okay, well, let me rephrase it another way. If you're not worried about explosive play rate, are you in the back of your mind asking questions about, hey, man, you've played four straight opponents that have no business staying on the field with you, and you're allowing them to stay in games? How about that question?
Wait. Okay, I think that they're – the Louisville, I just think that there's more context needed for those talking points.
Okay, well, then give the context.
But with the opponents that they played, you're going up against a Louisville team, which we have said had one of the best receiving rooms in the country. Okay, one of the most productive receiving rooms in the country.
That's
Virginia
for sure.
Tech has an underrated receiving room and one of the better athletic quarterbacks in the ACC. Cal has one of the most underrated offenses that has kind of petered off a little bit because of injuries. But the big plays that they allowed were because they were going up against, again, a very underrated offense. I'm not trying to make excuses for Miami, but the biggest reason why I'm not worried about stuff like that is because, again, there's a lot of similarities that can be drawn from the way that this team is playing at the current moment for Miami to the way that Washington played last year. And Washington, had plenty of games where they hung around with teams, but they still finished. They still didn't allow their opponent to close out. They stepped up to the plate. They made the plays necessary in crunch time to finish out games and win. Plain and simple. And just to talk about the context of this Duke game more specifically, they've been insanely lucky, like stupidly lucky with the way that they have gotten through the season with the record that they have. They are extremely non-potent. They couldn't be any more non-explosive. They're only averaging 336 total yards of offense per game.
Mm-hmm.
Malik Murphy's been a quality player, but he's only completing 58% or so of his passes.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to be worried about coming into this situation. The real test will come in the ACC championship game. And I know you're not directly saying that, but just to tie this all together, they're not going to get a real test until they play Clemson.
No,
I think that they're going to beat Clemson. I think that they're going to beat Clemson. It's all going to work itself out. I think this Miami team, there's not as much to be worried about.
It's not, and you're right. I'm not worried about them this week. You're right. Look, Duke is 109th in total offense. Joe, they cannot run the football. to save their life, meaning Duke. They can. And everybody's pointing at Malik Murphy. Well, I just got to throw this out there to you. Malik Murphy, I mean, they're 117th, Joe, in the country in run offense. Right? Like, I mean, they cannot run the football. It's been all on his shoulders. One thing they do well, though, they play really good defense. Joe, they're 13th in the country in passing defense. They've been really good on third down. They're 11th defensively. They have been a little leaky in some areas, but I mean, look, they've given up a lot. Their run defense has given up a lot, but in their secondary, Joe, you got to give it to them. They've been pretty solid, but it's not going to matter here. This is the best offense in the country, without a doubt, the best offense in the country, best scoring offense, best total offense. Cam Ward's going to continue to control this boat here, and they're going to continue to go off on really good spurts and runs here. This is not the team or the game that's going to do that to you. But I want to see you dominate an opponent. I want to see you dominate a lesser opponent. It's time for you to dominate. Joe, what I'm trying to get at here, the ultimate thing I'm trying to get at here, I think you have more than the ability than anybody in the country. You should be able to dominate at will. And this is the game that you should be able to line up and dominate at will. I want to see you for 60 minutes, take it to an opponent's ass and not let up. Because there are people in the national media and the committee, they're like, why are they around in these games? You are better than you have more talent than any team in the ACC by a long shot. You have the best quarterback in the ACC. Go dominate an opponent for 60 minutes. And Miami, I think, is going to do that, and they will do that. I think that the point here is that I'm trying to make is show me. Show me for like – I know what you can be. We all are seeing what we know that you can be. Go out there and show it.
Well, that's a good point before we get out of here. This is the game where you kick the crap out of them. Like, this is really the game because it is not a good matchup for Duke. It's really not. Duke is not built to play Miami close. It 1,000% isn't. We talked about and we perfectly depicted why Cal could have been close. We misfired on the Virginia Tech game. We perfectly depicted how
we were scorned about Virginia Tech. We were scorned.
We pretty accurately predicted how the Louisville Miami game could have been high scoring and how things played out the way that they did. This game does not match up well for Duke. And Miami, like the way that they played against Florida State, has a chance to smoke them. And what you're saying here, I agree with. Quiet anyone. Quiet Blake. Come out here and quiet Blake and prevent them from having any big plays.
Hold on.
I'm just messing with you.
No, because they'll do it. And all context gets thrown out here. I literally just spent.
Maybe you'll get in the Miami. Maybe you'll get put in the Miami hype video if we.
I mean, I guess everybody wants to continue to do it, but what do I know?
I'm gonna pull a bite out of context of you sounding like you're being negative, and then I'm gonna send it to the Miami guys and say, "Hey guys, Oregon used this last week and they won. So if you'd like, here is Blake and I being negative."
I literally will not allow you back on.
Well, come on.
It will be the Ruffino and Ruffino show.
It's free publicity. If they Oregon won.
Okay, well, why don't you say it and then you send them a clip of you saying it?
Miami's going to lose this football game. There, I'll clip that and I'll send it to them.
All right.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.